people are being paid $4 a week
Yeah.
to work 15-hour days. So we're still in this complete dysfunction in the society we've created. There's a brilliant film, Greed, another brilliant film which is out there now, which is a parody on the life of Sir Philip. But it's fascinating if you look at it and you look at the alarming figures out of that industry and others. These are the inequities, the imbalances we need to address, because once we address these, the tension goes. That's the point.
It is, and there's too much. I mean, I see this all the time. Just with people who it's all cause and effect. So there's always a kind of an effect that people can jump on. It's Brexit, it's COVID, it's this, it's that. But where's no one's ever looking at the cause. People are dying. I don't want to get to.
Exactly.
There are huge tragedies happening all over the world. Every day that don't get addressed and get completely ignored because they don't arrive out on the doorstep of Western society. And
that is the point. I spent a lot of time in Nigeria, and somebody didn't about me. I'm actually a Nigerian chief. My name in Nigeria.
You know what? Before you say that, right, I was going to say, tell us something we don't know about you, because you've just got, we've got all this great stuff from you. So go Manley. Tell us something we don't know about
my name in Nigeria is Chief Otemu Uremu the First.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
You should know that. Which is a beautiful expression, saying the man who can talk and make happen. And it was an extraordinary experience I had when I was working out there doing some leadership work, and I met an amazing man called Chief West Ham Adahur. His father liked football. And we were chatting about, I'm glad his father didn't like Chelsea, so he wouldn't have suited him. And Chief West was an amazing guy, and we ended up having a beautiful conversation about each other's nations and countries. And I was being quite disparaging about Nigeria from our perspective, and they were being glowing about Britain from his. And he said, Manley, give me your life for a week. I want to show you the real Nigeria. And just very briefly, Dan, I'm wary of time. So I went, I'm so glad I did. I went with Chief West and his people, and I was sort of half jokingly saying that I was safe because I was with the kidnappers. But we went to places deep in the sort of delta and river states of Nigeria where quite literally a white man wouldn't have gone for many years, and certainly without security because of the tension we created. I was with another a Brit, a chap called Di Davies, who's been working out of West Africa for 20 years, an amazing fellow as well. And we went to these small communities and villages, and as soon as they realized that Chief West had bought someone, now it wasn't oil, it wasn't politics, they spoke freely. Now the West has treated Nigeria appallingly. Remember the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico? That much oil is spilled almost every week in Nigeria, but we don't care because it's not our beach.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem. And so these people have all the reason in the world to be bitter and angry with us, but I didn't see that. What I saw was a group of people looking for hope and opportunity and wanting to break out of the system they're in. Just cut a long story short, we ended up bringing all the leaders, the tribal and local leaders together for the first time for 40, 50 years, an extraordinary conference in a town called Warri near Port Harcourt. And at the end of it, they signed a mandate to try and have a peaceful resolution. And the next day, I was taken and made a chief. Find a little lesson on leadership, though, is that the young king who was ordaining me, if that's the right word, Chief Solomon was his name, the kingdom of Arawarien. The next day, said, Manley, come to my village. And I said, I'd be a pleasure to come to your village. No, he said, it's not a good thing. My village is sinking because the oil extraction has meant that we're sinking. The oil spills locally have killed the mangrove swamps where the fish would school. We have a standpipe of water where when you pour out a glass of water, there's a film of oil on it. It'll appear in a few minutes. And so the oil companies, the West, and their infinite generosity has built a few concrete sheds 10 miles away. So my job now is to move my village, my people, and this is the ancestral home, to somewhere else. And so now I wasn't looking forward to going because I was a symbol as well of the West, being the white chap there. As I approached the village the next day, I heard singing. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And as we got there, I was with the young king, and it was amazing. All these people were helping each other. What meager possessions they had were all on little trolleys and carts. The old and young alike, the children were playing, they were singing. And I just thought, this is extraordinary leadership.
Yeah,
you're asking your people to do something horrendous and horrible through no fault of their own, and yet you manage to get them committed and bought into, and even I don't know if they were enjoying it, but that's their way of coping with it, is singing it. I said, what's your secret on leadership? Because leadership, as you know, is something I'm really focused on. And he looked at me, and I'll never, ever forget what he said. He just said, Manley, first I listen. And that's the biggest lesson on leadership I've ever had. How can we act if we don't understand? How can I be compassionate if I don't understand? How can I motivate, influence, help, guide? How can I do anything if we don't understand? And that's that gap, that consciousness that you're speaking about, that we need to grow, we need to improve. So there you go. That's the one thing you didn't know about me.
I think it's amazing, and it is. It's like turning up to the doctors and sort of being prescribed drugs before they know what your condition is. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So a couple of things, because I just think a couple of things I want to cover with you. So because I want you to talk a little bit about what you're doing with your Compassionate Leadership Academy, and I also want you to talk a little bit about the trip. But I want you to wrap that up in what you think about when you think about future opportunities. I mean, wow, like things you've done. But in your life, when you think about Manley's future opportunities, so talk a little bit about that, about the academy and the trip.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Dan. I will. The academy is really exciting. And very briefly, it's an online compassionate leadership academy. It's fundamentally different in many ways. If I might use a metaphor, let's say that you're a coach at a football club and you have aspirations that you want your club to go up a couple of leagues. So you've got your squad of players, and Dan, you're the coach, your squad of players. And in your squad, there's a bell curve of talent as there is. There's some pretty good players, some little numpties, but the majority are in the middle. So you think, right, I want to improve the performance of my whole club. I want to go up 2 leagues. I know what I'm going to do is this. So you gather the team in front. Say, right, team, this is my mission for the club. We're going to go up a couple of leagues. To do this, what I'm going to do is this, right? This small group here who are very good, I'm going to call them my talent team. And actually, they're the only people I'm going to coach. I'm not going to coach the rest of you. I'm actually just going to coach these people here. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take them away from the club, and I'm going to park them in a stately home for a couple of weeks whilst you're still playing every Saturday and every Wednesday. And now you're losing, by the way, because I'm just taking your best players away. And I want your commitment, even though you've got no future in this club, and I'm not going to invest in you, I'm not going to train you. This little group of people here, we're going to do a lot of theory, a lot of PowerPoint. We're going to walk across some hot coals, might build a raft or two. We're going to eat too much, sleep not enough. And they're going to come back into the club and hey, presto. How bloody stupid is that?
When you say it like that.
But what we've created in industry, in business, is exactly that. Yeah. We've created a mechanism where we have talent development groups. We say to companies and organizations, we're only going to invest in the people who we think are already brilliant, who through my own prejudice, my own filter, I've said I think they're brilliant. And yet we say we want employee engagement. We say we want contentment. We say we want growth. We say we want commitment. And yet all we do is create a divide. What I created deliberately is to try and break that completely and create a real essence of inclusion. We hear a lot about diversity and inclusion. They're not the same thing. They're very different things. The principle of inclusion, though, is let's grow everybody, every single person. Who am I, even as the leader, to think that actually that person doesn't warrant investment, doesn't warrant opportunity for growth? Of course they do. So the principle of the Compassionate Leadership Academy and the whole philosophy behind it, the technology, the pricing, everything, is designed that you can bring all your people with you. And let's invest in everybody. Let's help every single person grow. Because that person, that little football player at the back who may not be so good, are they not good because the coaching wasn't good? Are they not good because you haven't given them opportunity? Are they not good because you haven't gained their commitment? What have you not done? And I think that's one of the core principles of what we're creating with the Compassionate Leadership Academy. One other little thing about it, I'm wary of time as well. You can't give someone the tools of leadership without getting the mindset of a leader. It's like you saying to me, Manley, here's a scalpel and a stethoscope. Mate, you're a surgeon, just sort me out. No, mate, no, you wouldn't do that, would you? You wouldn't say, Manley.
Oh, this week, no.
No, I've got a bit of an appendix, a bit sore. Mate, here you go. Here's the tools. Off you go. and likewise, if you give me a lathe and a hammer, a chisel, it doesn't make me a carpenter. I've got to understand the grain of the wood, the moisture, the sand content. I've got to understand the body. In leadership, what we do, we give people the tools of leadership without giving the mindset of a leader. Fundamentally wrong again. So we need to get the mindset right. And the mindset is all those things we spoke about on this call, Dan. It's about awareness, courage, confidence, joy, and compassion. That's the mindset we need. So we got this principle of the mindset. We want to include and grow everybody. And then we've got to look at the way we share, the way we inspire people. If I tell you something, you may forget it tomorrow. But if I can paint a story, if I can share an image, if I can express something, even in a metaphor, but in a way which actually you can tap into, then you'll join me on the journey. So that's the principle of that. Yeah. Talking of journeys, Heard Island. Heard Island. There's a little volcano just off Antarctica, which is an island. It's a live volcano. It's covered in ice and glaciers and this sort of stuff. It's 4,000 miles from Cape Town, 4,000 miles away from Perth, just off the coast. It goes from a sea level to the top of this peak in 3,000 meters. It's never, ever been skied before.
Excellent. I can see what's coming then. It's not accessible, obviously, being very close to everything.
Yeah, exactly. But so the plan is, sail from Cape Town down to Heard Island, we'll ski it and then go off. But we're also going to go and position the magnetic South Pole as well. The magnetic South Pole is currently in the water and it moves. It hasn't been positioned since 2014. And as it moves, so we'll go and do that. So we're going to make this a scientific study as well, and an environmental one. There's an amazing lady called Emily Penn, who's currently taking 300 women around the world to do a study on the plastics in the oceans. We're going to extend that to a bit of ocean that most people don't go to. And so we're going to take some scientists with us as well, and actually make sure that we're looking and understanding what is happening in the oceans in those particular areas as well. So we're going to make some real scientific good from it as well. But also, Dan, this is the challenge, mate. I want to involve PTI.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I just, when we spoke and I said to you, I obviously went off and did that, thing in Uganda. And but, for me, getting this presents such an opportunity. It's a personal thing, but it also to create a team with veterans and returning citizens and young people. But then build a whole program to continue to do that afterwards.
Absolutely. And the story is, yes, we can. The story is we can help those three groups, the veterans, the returning citizens, and the people who haven't had the opportunities and advantages that we may have had, to give them that reality, the evidence, say, look, we can do anything. Absolutely anything, and let's make this a real force for good over long term. So that's that journey, Dan, which I'm rather hoping you might join me on. Actually,
I absolutely will be. Some of you will have to lock me down, and even then, I very much doubt. So we're going to do that, and I've already spoken to a few people about it. Right, one final thing. I mean, it's just been brilliant, and I knew it would have been so. But what advice, I know we've given you loads of kind of advice. I really hope people can draw a lot out of this discussion, but just a very succinct, for people just, wanting to create some opportunities in their life. Everyone has lots of different challenges, and we need to really kind of enable people to have practical tools. So what would you say to someone just, wants to create some opportunities, some fundamental advice? You'd say, right, what is it?
Trust yourself, back yourself, just do it. Don't worry about the outcome. Give it all your energy. Whatever you do, give it your energy. There's no such thing as failure if you've given it all your energy. If I've tried something really hard and it hasn't worked, well, that doesn't matter. I know I tried my hardest, and now I know I've got a different tack to go on. So let us embrace the challenge. Let's accept the challenge, and let's not worry about the outcome of it. Let's just give it our best shot and make sure we're driven by a higher sense of purpose and consciousness rather than just our own benefit. I think if we can do that, we are laughing.